Research, Network, Project, International.
Abhimanyu, thank you very much for being here in the SNIS studio. We have invited you today because you are the recipient of this year's SNIS Award for the Best Thesis in International Relations. So thank you. And without further ado, I'm going to invite you to tell us briefly what this thesis is about and why is it so special?
Right. So thank you, Ruxandra. Thank you for having me here. And thank you to the Swiss Network of International Studies for this award. I'm very honored to be here. Right. So let me start by saying I completed this thesis at the Graduate Institute in Geneva in 2023, but I now work for the International Committee of the Red Cross. I completed this thesis before I started that job, and this thesis and the opinions I express in it are entirely in my personal capacity and don't necessarily reflect those of the ICRC. So I just needed to put that
That's
out there.
important, yes.
Right, now onto the thesis itself. The title of my thesis is Fig Leaf, a critical analysis of the law of targeting. Now, the law of targeting is a part of international humanitarian law. International humanitarian law itself is the set of rules in international law that govern warfare, and the law of targeting is a subset of international humanitarian law, which governs specifically the conduct of hostilities in warfare. Now, it has always been an important part of international humanitarian law, right from the early treaties in the 19th century. The aspects of the law of targeting have been central to the international humanitarian law and its regulation of warfare, and they have been. The law of targeting was codified most extensively in 1977 in the additional protocols to the Geneva Convention. So the subject of my thesis is this idea of balancing military necessity and humanity in the law of targeting. And the question I'm trying to answer is, what exactly does it mean to balance military necessity and humanity? How do you balance two things that are so different? And how is it that the law of targeting does this? And my diagnosis is that although the law of targeting imposes very clear and concrete and enforceable obligations, these obligations are only indirectly and imperfectly enforceable by the ultimate beneficiaries of those obligations, which are the civilians who are protected by the law of targeting. And as a result, the law of targeting ends up being far more responsive to the requirements of military necessity than it is to the demands of humanity.
How is your thesis innovative?
So on the one hand, the thesis is very firmly rooted in legal doctrine, in traditional legal materials. On the other hand, it is bringing these traditional legal materials into conversation with materials and perspectives from other disciplines. I think the thesis succeeds in making an argument that is both radical and quite original. And I would say it is radical in terms of the scale of the challenge it poses to the idea of the law of targeting and the balance between military necessity and humanity. And it is innovative in that, unlike other similar arguments, I don't attribute this shortcoming to inadequacies in the existing rules or enforcement mechanisms. Instead, what I'm highlighting is a far more structural and systematic subordination of humanity to military necessity.
And the next question would be, how do you envisage or how do you imagine this knowledge to be pertinent or be taken up in the world of policy?
The relevance of this thesis for the policy professional is at two levels. One, in its ability to explain the humanitarian consequences of the humanitarian failures of the law of targeting. And second, it's the strategy that it proposes for a more aggressive assertion of the demands of humanity.
Abhimanyu, thank you very much, and we wish you good luck also with follow-up research and in your career.
Thank you.